Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the DX Gamer Show. My name is Mike, aka Operation DX, and welcome to the 8th episode of PlanetBase. And holy crap, look at that! Our engineer's actually doing some work, building some spare parts. Oh yeah, baby, getting those guys going. That's a good thing, because we actually just brought some more engineers. I think we have some more engineers coming down to do some of these additional tasks, to build capacitors and all that. Of course, this little guy here is going to be doing all the work, and I think he's in fact coming out to weld the piece together from what we left off in the previous episode, and that was the large solar array. So we have two large solar arrays, and really I feel like we got a good deal of stuff done during the previous episode. So we did get additional power collector built, we got the factory built, so the engineer's building the spares now, and I think that's all we got done. We got some additional crew in. We definitely need to give ourselves some more beds for the colonists to sleep in, because I think we only have like 6 bunks right now to work with. So these guys are going to start getting those Z symbols above their head because they have nowhere to sleep. So I'm pretty much going to cram the small dormitory with beds very shortly here. So we're just kind of checking out things here. Our power grid, water grid, oxygen. Things are looking good, but we are starting to push the zone there because, like I said, that medium oxygen generator can only hold 30 people. And just double checking again the techs, and I think that's good to go. Of course, we can look at a bunch of different stats and all the different products that we have been making. Of course, food seems to be the dominant thing here as we take a look at the storage module, and we are about 73% full. So we may need to build another one of these soon, or just get some more colonists to start eating that food. Speaking of food, we definitely need to build those synthesizers very, very soon, because in the previous episode we did have a case of malnutrition. Yes, we did, and we had to use a med kit on that. And I tend to like to just have the med kits there for injuries. You know, like people being irradiated, people hurting themselves in the mine, you know, that kind of stuff. Alright, so we'll get that going soon. Just kind of scoping things out, looking around here. Right now we have the landing pad off, so no one else is going to be coming in. Just taking a, I like to take my time with this game. Just, get a feel, just see how the flow of things are going. I've talked about this before, and it looks like we are nice and stable at this point. We have, enough food being produced. We're actually overproducing food, I believe. And I think eventually I may replace entirely the biolab and build the large one, but that's for a later project. We got bigger fish to fry. I mean, I was talking about towards the end of the previous episode that I wanted to get a protection system from the comets coming down and damaging stuff. I've gotten extremely lucky in this play, because, I think even during my tutorial phase, I got hit. I think that was, designed that way, though, so, yeah. I did goof around a little bit with the game, and I definitely got hit, and people got killed, and I had to start over, and that was early on. So, yeah, it is completely random how that goes down, and we have had a ton of close encounters throughout the series. So I don't know, definitely want to keep this save because we're doing good. Alright, so placing down another drinking fountain. We are doing some important things right now, things that need to definitely get done. So we're gonna add a bunch more. I'm just gonna cram this thing with bunks here. So we added 4 more bunks. Let's see if how many more. I think we can fit maybe 1 more in there, but it's really gonna have to squeeze, because the game doesn't like you to put stuff at the edge of the hallway. So I probably won't be able to put 1 on the left side, but on the right side I might be able to fit 1 more bunk, and that will definitely help out. I bet you once those things get built, the colonists are just going to fill them in. There you go, engineer. Fix that bot, man. He's a hard worker. Yellow bot is a hard worker, man. All right, so what else do we need? Oh yeah, we need those synthesizers. I need to get started on that pretty soon. You gotta be careful with those. I tend to like to stick things really, really close together, and sometimes the game doesn't like that so much. So I gotta be careful with that. Sometimes I have to, like, you know, tear some stuff down and put it back up because I put things too close together. Sometimes in these modules, the smaller modules, you want to fit more than what it's capable of fitting. All right, so it looks like the two beds have all the bioplastic. And will the engineer be the one that welds the beds? I don't think so. I don't think so. Anyways, you know, I just want to take a second to, you know, congratulate Majugo Works on their game. And it has been released, and I wish them the best success with this game. I think it's a lot of fun. I've really enjoyed my time with it. I would like to have put more time into this game than I have right now, but I've really kind of been splitting my time between several games, and I've talked about that earlier in one of the earlier episodes. So, you know, I hope this game does well, and, you know, if it does, hopefully either they build like a new game on kind of the same vein, or they maybe add some additional content to this game, because, yeah, it's solid. They did a really good job, and apparently the developers are experienced. It seems like they come from experienced backgrounds from what I've read on the webpage. They've come from various other titles that are, you know, a lot of people are very familiar with. So, yeah. Good job. All right, so looks like we got those beds built in the nick of time because this place is filling up. Actually, I think we have a full dormitory right now. Completely full, so that was good. Good idea. And it looks like everyone else is doing all right. Right, getting a little repair action going on our solar array. That kind of happens a lot, actually. So that's why we needed those spares. We were touching on the red line with the spares, just like we were touching on the red line in the beginning of the game when we built our colony. Because I felt like I got a little too greedy in the beginning of the game, because I wanted to have slightly bigger buildings. And I got away with it, but just. All right, so now we are placing down the tissue synthesizer. That's what it's called. All right, so I'm gonna try to fit these in tight. It may be a little too tight. See how it kind of turns red, and then I put it right next to it. Sometimes when I do this, one of them won't get used, or both of them won't get used, so I might have to like take it down. We'll see if we can get away with this though. Alright, so I think we have plenty of bioplastics, so those should get built almost immediately, because we did set down a lot of plants that are starchy quite a little bit ago. I think a couple episodes back, so those are in full swing, and everything is like moving along in a good manner. Now, one of the things I think I want to do too is, because there's two sizes of airlock, I want to build a bigger airlock. I believe it allows 2 colonists at a time. This is really important when you start trading, because the last time I experimented with the trading, remember when I was talking about how I traded off all my food, and my colonists, oh, my poor colonists, they all started dying of starvation. It was sad. But they physically have to take the goods from the cargo facility and bring it to the ship. And you see how the airlocks work now. They have to wait in line, and I had this like big old line down the hallway with everyone holding the food to like put onto the ship. It was just no good. So I think the other option that may be better is, there's a third thing. I don't even know if I've even talked about this, but you can have visitors come stay at your colony. And before I do that, like, I haven't even tested that out, honestly. But before I do that, I want to have the colonists have their own beds. And then, you know, the people that can come in, they can sleep in the dormitory, right? Because that would be more fair. And also, it really helps with the happiness, because the more crew I come in, the more I've got to start thinking about, oh, hell? Yeah, no. The more I got to think about a recreational center for my colonists. If I can get away without having to build a rec center right away, that's also kind of a good thing. Although it's kind of more expensive to do the housing for everybody. I want to do as big of housing as I possibly can, but still, the beds aren't double bunk like they are in the dormitory. They're single beds, so yeah, it's just something I have to consider. So maybe I will build a rec center before I actually build some housing for my colonists. But I definitely want to get that up for them before I start letting them in. Yeah, see, this is exactly what I was worried about. This is kind of what's happening. So if we look in the lab, we've got one food synthesizer that is just not being built. And I think I've got plenty of bioplastic to actually do that. Yeah, in fact, there's bioplastic in that machine. Someone just picked it up. No, they didn't, but they're about to pick it up. All right, so that bioplastic is probably headed over to the food synthesizer. But I'm almost 99% certain that I put them too close together, and I'm going to have to separate them out. Now, I believe... I'm not sure, but I think you get 100% return on resource if I actually recycle the other one. So I'll probably have to spread them out. It's not a big deal. We just got them built anyways, so we'll get it worked out. And like I said before, we're going to do the synthetic beef and the synthetic pork, and I believe you just need 2 in order to keep their diets maintained to where they will not be having malnutrition issues. Okay, so we have another piece of bioplastic headed over here too. Oh yeah, that's for a med kit, no? Oh, so, okay, yeah, he brought one over for the med machine and one over for the food synthesizer. All right, so 4 biologists. I think 4 biologists is enough to... Because I had the two were maintaining the biolab pretty well. And every once in a while, they can head over here to the food synthesizers. But as you can see... The food synthesizers degrade pretty rapidly, so they need the attention of a biologist pretty consistently. They're very, very demanding machines. They are indeed. Alright, so let's see. I guess we can let some more people in the colonists. Now, yeah, and originally I thought that I had some engineers inbound, but I was wrong. I had workers. And so we are going to bring in some more engineers. And I think I'm going to set down the capacitor structure. I'm definitely going to do that soon. I'm going to set down the capacitor machine so that way we can start thinking about building additional bots. Even the carrier bots are just so very helpful. All right, so you can see that is our very first synthesized, I think, beef. Yeah, so that's good. But that only provides 1 meal. Alright, so hey, looks like we've got all of our secondary solar array built. We're more than halfway through the day, and we're doing pretty good on power. And as usual, we have pretty much no wind generation whatsoever. Makes the wind turbine just absolutely useless. There's actually a tech too to get like this super wind turbine, but the way this game's been going, no. So we're gonna build ourselves up a nice juicy reserve of power using the solar panels, because pretty much the only time the solar panels don't function in full capacity is when there is a sandstorm, and you see how often that has happened in the series. I think we've seen 2 or 3 of them, And we haven't seen any solar flares. Thank goodness. Cross my fingers, cross my fingers. Because we have no warning system yet for that. All right, so we'll have 2 full energy collectors, I think, by the time we hit nighttime, which is good. And I definitely want to build a 3rd one. All right, so up in the upper right corner here, again, checking my stock levels. So some of you guys can stop complaining about me not checking that panel. Although, I do like to keep it on this initial panel. Don't ask me why. I like to see the wind, and I like to see what time of day it is. It's just like it's just how I roll, right? It's just how I do things. All right, so maybe the second one, is that a piece of meat, synthetic meat, or is that vegetables from the garden? I don't know. All right, so here we're building the capacitor, capacitor machine. Yeah. So I think they have that set to 10 or 5. Those actually sell for pretty good. So if I got a trader come in and I have a ton of those, although I want to use them for robots at first, or bots, but if I build up a good supply, I can sell those off for a good deal of cash money. But again, I think I'm going to try the whole tourist thing. All right, so the status of my colony, it looks like it's in good operation right now. That bar really kind of fluctuates throughout the day. You know, sometimes when we're not getting enough wind, or if we're not getting enough whatever, like it goes down again, that kind of thing. Yeah. You go, yellow bot. All right, so the capacitor foundry is complete. It also requires bioplastic and metal. We have some engineers coming down at the landing pad. How many are you going to give me today? 2? Yeah, all right. So we're at 24. We're getting pretty close to that cap on our oxygen generator. The current battle plan in my brain at the moment is I'm going to let in just enough colonists to where the oxygen generator can handle that. So we have 30 people we can let in our colony. Now, we got to be careful, too, because remember that thing I was saying? Really, I think it was like early on, episode 3 or 4, how when we do get a lot of colonists and they are congregating in a certain module, that particular module will start to run out of oxygen. These are things that I definitely need to be aware of. Also, the oxygen generator is influenced by the water generators as well. So a lot of the water is actually being pumped into our biolab, which is taking a very, very large portion of the water. The water the colonists are drinking and the water the oxygen generator is using, I don't think is like a substantial amount compared to what is being used in the biolab. If you recall, I think it was during the previous episode when we turned off the water generator, just everything went to crap in my biolab. So yeah, gotta watch that for certain. All right, and then once we have that close to cap feel and the resources look like they're functioning quite well, then I'm going to consider expansion, but I will build the second oxygen generator first, and then I'll build a bigger biolab, a bigger canteen. I don't know if I'm going to restructure what I have currently. I don't know, because sometimes when you try to restructure things and build bigger versions of the modules, you can't hook it back up the way you had it. So yeah, I might just build another one close to the canteen. Or maybe I'll make a canteen off on the, kind of like an extension off the supply or cargo facility where all the friggin' food is anyways. That's actually probably a good spot for it. Because that's pretty much where the canteen is right now anyways. It's connected right to the cargo facility, which I think is... It's perfect. So I can just put a large canteen on the other side of it, and that seems like a good place for that module to go. But you know what? Before we even get there, before we even do any of that stuff, I want to build protection for the base. So in the back of my head, my main priority, and I said this during the previous episode towards the end, is I want to get a control center up, and I want to get the telescopes and the laser to protect against those comet strikes. Once we have security against that, we're in really good shape. We can pretty much do what we want. And then we have the warnings coming in for the sandstorms and the solar flares. And yeah, we're really in good shape from that point. But yeah, we're going to need a bigger canteen. So we have 24 people. They're all using the same food processor. And at some point, that single food processor is not going to be able to keep up with all the food that's being needed in the colony. Yeah, see, got the orange wrench and the red wrench next to my food synthesizers. I'm pretty sure that the one with the red wrench is not being maintained by the biologists. So I'm probably going to have to do something about that. I've been ignoring that problem pretty much since I built the built those two things. But yeah, we got a lot of things going on, a lot of things that need to be paying attention to. So that's why, like, sometimes things slip my mind. Wow, 3 more engineers. That's way more than we need, I think. So that's 27. I think it's time to turn off that landing pad. I think 27 is pushing it, just pushing it enough. Yeah, definitely, for sure. So I think that's all we're going to need for now, until we build our next oxygen generator. Alright, so as soon as this guy takes off, I will turn that off. And then it'll give us some additional power. And kind of in the back of the right corner here, I noticed that we've got one of the power collectors almost kaputski, but we're almost all the way through the night. No wind being generated again. You know, it maybe because, like, every time I look up at that meter, it's just that I don't see the wind or whatever, but it just seems like throughout this series, the wind has just been total crap. It's just been just utter crap. So anyways, yeah, all right, so time to recycle, because these are not being used properly. I think I need to recycle the one closest to the desk. All right, which this is making the synthetic pork. Yeah, I need to do it. I keep double clicking on, I keep checking them, but I know that it's not working properly. All right, so let's do this. Let's recycle this guy, and then we'll rebuild it in a little better way. So see, we get the bioplastic back. So hopefully what'll happen is they'll just move the piece of bioplastic over to the other food synthesizer. All right, so I need to click on the freaking lab there. I forget that I need to do that. I'm like looking for the button. I'm like, where's the button to make the food processor? All right, there we go. So yeah, that is in very poor condition, which means that it's stopped. It's not producing anything right now. So that's bad. All right, so hopefully this works out for us. All right, so during this episode, it's more like zipping up internal things inside of the colony. I definitely need more beds inside of the med bay, because just in case bad things. Right now we just have that one bed inside of the med bay module, and I'm expecting that solar flare to pop up anytime. We've been playing for a nice and long time. Synthetic tissue synthesizer built, that's good. Set that to pork. And now hopefully the biologists will come over here and maintain these machines. At the very least, by building the second one, we'll get a few more pieces of pork out before the machine fails. Yep, right away. The biologist went over there and started maintaining the machine. So yeah, I knew there was a problem going on there. We are good to go now. All right, let's see. What else do we have that we need here? So, ooh, status, excellent. Look at that. Yeah. Security guards. We'll bring those down once we have, like, something to bring them out. I don't want to bring them down until we have any weapons. I'm actually gonna bring in some more biologists. Crazy me. So there's a chance that 3 biologists will drop, and that'll max us out. So that'll be okay. and then I'm gonna stop. I keep saying it's good, right? And then I let it go a little further. All right. Poor worker injured himself in the mine. Those poor guys, they're always getting hurt. All right, let's see what else we have going on. Our supplies are pretty decent. Bioplastic, metal, med kits are good. That's what I was checking on, is the med kits. And those are in full swing. So we got the 3 medics working on that. And hey, is the engineer working on the capacitor machine? I can't tell. It looked like he was about to, but stopped. Maybe they're just dropping off a piece. All right, yeah, so my power system is good to go right now. Those 2 large solar generators are just keeping up with, wow, that ship came down quick. They are keeping up with that power. All right, so for real this time, we're done. We're done. No more people are coming in for a little while until we get everything zipped up. So we dropped off 2 biologists. That's 29. So that gives me just a little bit of room with the O2 generator. Although I'm really afraid that we're going to start running into zones that are going to start dropping off in O2 supply. So that's something that is not going to be able to be helped. If I have to, I will build an additional O2 generator. We're swinging hard right now with everything we've got. I mean, you know, bioplastic and metal is being built constantly, even though it is being used for some other things inside our facility. It's not in a large quantity. I mean, mostly it's the bioplastic that's being used in a lot of machines. And hey, the engineer is actually working on the capacitor machine, so cool. So we have capacitors going, and then behind the factory, I'm going to build the robot facility so that the robots can recharge on their own and they don't have to rely on the engineers. Actually, it's not just recharge, they get repaired. I actually would like to see like something in the game that maybe you can spend like a piece of metal or maybe a piece of bioplastic or something, or even a capacitor, and fill the bottom bar back up on the bots. That would be like, it'd be cool. So you don't have to like rebuild them all the time. Yeah, so just like I said, I'm gonna put a robotics facility right behind the factory. I think that's a perfect spot for it. And then once that gets built and the capacitor gets built that guy is working on, I'm not sure if it takes 2 capacitors. It may take 2 capacitors to actually build the recharge facility, the repair facility. But apples and oranges, you know, we'll get it done. All right, so everything looks like it's in full swing on the left side. So the plants are doing good. The tissue synthesizers are all rolling hard. The stock looks maxed almost, right? So things are actually going to start stacking up again inside of the biolab if we don't do something about that. Now, I could, and I know I could do this, I can build a larger stock facility in place of the current one I have. I just don't know what will happen if I recycle the stock facility with all this stuff inside of it. So, yeah, maybe I'll just build another one behind it. I don't know. No. I'm sidetracking. No. What I'm going to build behind it is a large canteen, and then maybe a stock facility behind that. And then maybe I'll do what that one dude was saying in the 3rd episode, talking about how connecting hallways and try to improve efficiency and all that stuff, because yeah, it's not so efficient. Like I've got this like spider web of things going out from each zone here. So yeah, so maybe I can connect the canteen to the factory. I can connect the factory to the med bay. But I believe one of them, it's either the med bay or the lab that is, if you notice, like when you build things, there's a little T symbol, and that means that it can only be connected in one spot. So the dormitory is a T sector. I believe the med bay is a T sector. So it means, yeah, you can't connect another hallway to it. So those are things you have to pay attention to. That's another thing you have to be aware of when you're building things in this game, because Yeah, it can become a problem. You can cut yourself off pretty bad if you build a lot of those T sectors, and then you're like, oh crap, I can't build anything behind this kind of thing. So yeah, you gotta watch that. Those buildings are not so common. It's a dormitory and a couple other buildings, I'm not sure, but yeah. Oh, and of course the airlocks. The airlocks are the T sector things too. But I need to build some bigger airlocks, man, for real. For real. Especially, you know, what I'll do is I'll have the bigger airlock in the sector where, you know, so I'll have a stock facility, and then I'll have an airlock next to that. I really wish you could control, like, what... That's one thing I want to talk about, is I wish you could control what stock goes where and how much of it goes there. So you say this amount of food can go here, this amount of spares can go here, and that's that sort of thing. I wish you could do that. Anyways, we're pretty much done here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time. Have a great day, and take care.